Well, ladies and gentlemen, I was talking to Sister Demetria yesterday, and shout out to Sister Demetria. She was, telling me about this clip here from Jamal Bryant, or Dr. Jamal Bryant. Now, you remember him from Baltimore. He was a pastor over there. If you remember his history, he was, knocking down a lot of females in the church. He had so many scandals in Baltimore. Do you remember he tried to come out there on the block and got ran off the block? I think his name is PF Boom or something like that. Ran Jamal Bryant off the block. When he come out there, he said, man, we don't need no fake pastor out here. You need to go and move around, man. And Jamal Bryant moved around. So what he ended up doing is, leaving Baltimore, kind of like after Eddie Long died. He went down to Atlanta to take over that church. And so Jamal Bryant, basically trying to reinvent himself. Now, the Democrats are really concerned about the election in Georgia. They're worried about Herschel Walker. They're doing everything they can to attack Herschel Walker, but not present to the people in Georgia how they're so much better. They're not presenting anything for black folks to say, listen, I'm better than Herschel Walker because I have done this with your vote 2 years ago. See, the issue is right now is you didn't do nothing with black people's vote 2 years ago. You understand? And black folks say, nah. I'm calling in with what you gave me, which is nothing. You didn't give me a freaking thing. So because you didn't give me nothing, why I'm going to come out there and vote for y'all again when you didn't give me anything? Right? So the Democrats have become very vicious. They have become very desperate. Just last night, I had to retweet Boule Martin. He was just raging again, try to fearmonger again. Like, listen, you got black folks in 2020 with the fearmongering. It's not going to work in 2022 because black folks are suffering. Well, Jamal Bryant here, he, made a sermon and talking about Herschel Walker. Let's go ahead and review it. Now, before I play anything, look at what he has on. Pay attention to his cardigan. I want you to look at that. Look to the left of what he has on, okay? Now, what is that, ladies and gentlemen? What is that? You have to understand a lot of these preachers are Boule. It's just not Boule Martin. This is Boule Bryant. A lot of these black folks in these organizations like the NAACP, National Urban League, National Action Network, all these people that you see speaking for black folk, they all Boule. This is why we don't get nothing. They get you notice how all of them don't have a hair out of place. They wear the best suits. You know what I'm saying? But they don't look like the rest of us. They just come out there and try to deliver up the black vote. I told you guys right here on this podcast, it is a multi-million-dollar economy of delivering the black vote up for the Democrat. If you can deliver black folks up to the Democrat, you're going to get cashed out. See, I'm not about getting it like that because that is not honorable to me. When I look at my life, I look at, okay, what am I going to leave on the earth? What my kids going to say about me? Did I just sell out just for a bag? No, I don't want that because a man or woman who don't sell out is solidified way past when they not here anymore. So let's go ahead on and play this video and we're going to stop it because it's going to be ridiculous. It's only a short amount of time. I'm not going to subject you to all his stuff, right? So let's go.
Which is based on the idea that your subconscious can control your conscience. That one word can unleash past trauma or reveal unresolved internal conflicts. I hadn't thought about that incident for years until I was emotionally triggered sitting at home watching television. And every commercial that started playing said Walker for Senate.
Listen to the word he used. I was emotionally triggered. That is the problem right now in the black community. Emotion and not logic. Emotion and not strength. emotion and not leadership. That's why we in a pickle that we in. We got a grown black man sitting up here telling people in a freaking church that I got emotionally triggered. I would expect a woman to say that she got emotionally triggered. I would expect a child to say they got emotionally triggered. But a freaking grown man, because another man is running for Senate, which he has every right to. But let's continue.
I hadn't thought about it. I don't even know what made my mind go back to it. But Physiopedia pronounced a walker is a walking aid used to stabilize patients with poor balance, compromised mobility, and lower extremity impairment. Ladies and gentlemen, when the Republican Party of Georgia moved Herschel Walker from Texas to Georgia so that he could run for Senate, it's because change was taking too fast in the post-antebellum South.
What changed, sir? What changed? Let's go back to 2020. What has changed from 2020 to 2022? A whole lot has changed. You were doggone right. A bunch of nothing has changed at all. We worst off economically right now. Black people are very pissed off. Yeah, that has changed. But white supremacy has changed. Listen to this. Ooh, I want to use some other words right now because he's triggering me by getting upset. I'm getting upset because a lot of my people are deceived by these wicked false teachers and false prophets in these church houses. They're deceived all the time. And that's what's angering me right now with this guy who has a history of adultery, a history of being conniving, a history of lying. He need to be working on himself, talking about somebody else. What is this definition about a walker? That's that man's name. What that was dumb to even say.
The state had been flipped blue, and there are some principalities that were not prepared for a black man and a Jewish man to go to Senate.
Listen to the word he used, principalities. So if you know church talk, right? Principalities is demons. Because, the scripture talk about, principalities and things like that related to demons. So basically what he's saying is demons, just say the word demons. You ain't got to say principalities. Demons weren't ready for the state to be flipped blue. This guy is so much in violation of the scriptures. Didn't the scripture say be in the world, but not of the world? Meaning you don't be a part of man's politics. You be a part of God's politics. God is not governed by no red and blue in America. God it governs by his laws, his principles, his precepts. That's what you're supposed to be talking about. And also you're violating IRS law when it comes to 501c3. We'll get to that later. But anyway, let's continue.
At the exact same time. So they figured that they would delude us by picking somebody who they thought would in fact represent us better with a football than with a degree in philosophy. They thought.
Here's the elitism. Remember, I told you in the beginning, look at his shirt. That's the elitism of the boule talking. That's come on. So you play football, you shouldn't be able to do anything. Oh, because I guess you're dumb, I guess. Because you played football. Last time I checked, Herschel Walker got his degree. But I guess you're not talking about that.
We were so slow, that we were so stupid, that we would elect the lowest caricature of a stereotypical broken black man as opposed to somebody who is educated and erudite and focused. Y'all ain't ready for me to.
So basically what he's saying is black people relate more to Herschel Walker than some boule member with an education. We've been getting nothing but boule members all the time. Boule is our politicians, and we haven't got crap. Maybe you ought to feel bad about yourself, Mr. Boule man Jamal Bryant. If Herschel Walker got you that triggered, emotionally triggered, this is what a grown man, I'm still going back to that, emotionally triggered like a freaking woman. But you got a bunch of women in the church, so I guess you got to speak their language, right? He's mad because his boule member, Warnock, is not leading in the polls, and they worried that his boule member, Warnock, is not going to be there no more. But let's really, really continue.
today. Since Herschel Walker was 16 years old, white men been telling him what to do, telling him what school to go to, where to live, where to eat, where to buy a house, where to run, where to sit down, where to sleep, where to pay for abortions, where to buy a gun. And you think they not gonna tell him how to vote?
White people telling you how to vote, you slow idiot. They're telling you. They had you go up there talking about that demons didn't want the state of Georgia to turn blue. Where you think they get that from? You sit up there following the white man. You following the white man that's a Democrat. That's what you're doing. The white man telling you everything as well. You had to go to the white man to say, can I have a 501c3? You didn't say, I don't need that nothing from no white man. I got my God, right? We'll pay whatever. We'll pay to America what's America's. We're going to pay to God what's God's. We don't need your stuff. We're going to talk about whatever we want to talk about in here because God going to provide for us here. The white man telling you what to do every freaking day. What are you talking about? You're more in control than Herschel Walker is. But I thought the scriptures talk about, to not judge people because in the same manner you judge, you shall be judged also. And you're a pastor. You know better than that. I ain't a pastor, so I don't walk in that. I just walk in the truth and what I see. But let's continue with this Boule member.
2022, we don't need a walker. We need a runner. We need somebody who gonna run and tell the truth about January 6th. We need.
Everybody's seen January 6th. I seen it. I talked about it. Everybody talked about it. It was crazy to see. But why are we talking about what Herschel Walker himself? Did Herschel Walker go tell anybody to go do that? Was he over there with Trump that day trying to stir those people up? No, I didn't see Herschel Walker nowhere near that. Herschel Walker didn't text nobody about it. He didn't email nobody about it. So why are you trying to correlate Herschel Walker and January the 6th? That's two totally different things. And at this point, nobody cares about January the 6th because even the people that did it, because they're so protected by white privilege, they're getting slaps on the wrist. If there had been black folks at that Capitol, it wouldn't have been none of that because they'd have pulled out every new weapon they had that we didn't know they had and wiped us out. We'd have even got halfway close to the Capitol. So what does Herschel Walker has to do with that? This man is a freaking liar. He's a liar. Why are you bearing false witness, Jamal Bryant? Trying to implicate that man like he had something to do with January 6th. I thought you say he's so low and all he do is run the football. Well, according to you, he's not intelligent enough to help pull off that, right? According to you.
Somebody who gonna run and push for the cancellation of student loan debts. We need some.
Wait a minute, hold on. I thought God supernaturally could cancel debt. And you are looking to a white liberal to talk about some debt. And let's call it, and I talked about this before. The people that chose to go to school, you chose to take out those loans. That was a choice. See, I don't have no debt. You know why I don't have no debt when it comes to school? Because I did it a certain way where I had a choice on how I did it. I made sure that what I could pay and what I could get scholarship for, that's why I don't have no debt like that. So if I can make that kind of decision, everybody else can make that decision. And if you choose to take those loans, that's fine. No problem. You take those loans to get a career that's going to help you pay them back with no problem. But see, the problem is, Jamal Bryant, instead of telling black folk, go vote for this white liberal, because you telling the white liberal, black folks that the white liberals, they're God. Instead of talking about the real Father of heaven and earth. This is why Jesus himself said in the last days you will have a lot of false teachers and false prophets speaking in my name. And we have seen that a lot for sure, definitely in the black church. Because look at what black people are at today, listening to people like Jamal Bryant. If you follow what God told you to do and pray on different things, God gives you wisdom. God would have gave you wisdom on how to save money on school. Or God would have inspired and telling people, say, hey, let's bring this sister or brother here to the church and tell people how to save money in school. I brought someone on my show a few years ago, a black woman that taught people how to save money in college. She said, the first thing you do is go to the community college for the first 2 years, do all your basics, then transfer over to the university. And that's how you're going to save money and not have all this debt. Because she said, it don't matter if you started the community college. All it matters is if you finish at whatever university, right? Saving people thousands and thousands of dollars. Instead of giving good information like that to his members, he wants to sit up here and say, oh, this white liberal going to sit up there and forgive student loan debt. See how wicked this man is? And I call him wicked because he's supposed to be talking about thus saith the Lord.
Somebody who gonna run and make the former president respond to a subpoena.
What? So if Warnock get in there, he's gonna make Donald Trump respond to a subpoena. What is this man talking about, y'all? I know I'm not the only one that's just hearing this. And was once again was getting on my nerves is black folks sitting in there listening to that. Black folks thinking this is a good thing he's saying. Black folks giving all their money. Tell me, I got to give my tithes. Give it for what? I mean, you want to pay a cover charge, just say you're paying a cover charge. And cover charges don't even cost the amount of money that so-called tithes cost. Shoot, I mean, if that's the case, $10, $20 cover charge, you come in and y'all just do what you do.
Don't need a walker. We need somebody who will be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding, knowing that your labor is not in vain. Georgia, I need you to know the slave Negroes y'all are used to.
You're the slave Negro. Oh, God. Okay. Let's go back to slavery, y'all. You know the white supremacists use preachers to quail our dissension. The white supremacists use preachers to keep us in a state of being docile and using the Bible to do it. You remember the story of Nat Turner? He was being used in that way. And then he said, wait a minute, hold on. This isn't right. Look at what they do on my people. Like this, and I'm being used to stop this revolutionary energy. This is why these people are allowed to do what they're doing in society, because they're trying to quail black people, keep black people on a plantation. You have to understand that black preacher, I told y'all, Pookie and Ray Ray to me, and that black preacher is the most destructive forces in our community. Destructive. Now, the preacher don't do the violent part, but the preacher destroys you psychologically. The preacher destroys you spiritually and deceive you every freaking Sunday. There's only a few preachers that I can say, okay, yeah, I can rock with them. Like Bishop Talbot Swan, I rock with him. I can go listen to his, I can go to his church and listen. Geno Jennings, I can go listen to him. But this guy here has been a charlatan from the beginning. But let's continue.
Don't live here no more. We can think for ourselves, function for ourselves, and vote for ourselves. Why? Because we don't need a walker.
Well, I guess you need a Warnock who sit up there and advocates for a woman's right to choose, being a whole preacher.
In 2 Samuel.
Let's stop right there. That's the part I want to stop at. But let's get to something else, ladies and gentlemen. You know, the black church has been a problem in our community, been a major problem. And there are 501c3s. Let's look at what the IRS had to say about some of this. So you can see here, IRS, .gov, churches, charities and politics. They say the ban on political activity by charities and churches was created by Congress more than a half century ago. The Internal Revenue Service administers the tax laws written by Congress and has enforced authority over tax-exempt organizations. Here is some background information on the political campaign activity ban and the latest IRS enforcement statistics regarding its administration of the congressional ban. In 1954, Congress approved an amendment by Senator Lyndon Johnson to prohibit 501c3 organizations, which includes charities and churches, from engaging in any political campaign activity. To the extent Congress has revisited the ban over the years, it has in fact strengthened the ban. The most recent change came in 1987 when Congress amended the language to clarify that the prohibition also applies to statements opposing candidates. Well, very, very interesting. Currently, the law prohibits political campaign activity by churches and charities defined by 501c3 organization as one which does not participate in or intervene in any political campaign on behalf or in opposition to any candidate for public office. Y'all, Jamal Bryant just violated that. Let's continue. The IRS has published Revenue Ruling 2007-41, which outlines how churches and the 501c3 organizations can stay within the law regarding the ban on political activity. Also, the ban by Congress on political campaign activity regarding a candidate. Churches and other 501c3 organizations can engage in limited amount of lobbying, include ballot measures, and advocate for or against issues that are in a political arena. The IRS has also provided guidance regarding the difference between advocating for a candidate and advocating for legislation. They say each election cycle, the IRS reminds 501c3 exempt organizations to be aware of the political campaign activity. Of course, the ban, of course. The IRS published its most recent reminder. It's in a public news release, which you can read. It said a division within the IRS responsible for overseeing churches and charities in the tax exempt and government entities division. It has created a web page. It's dedicated to the IRS most recent activities, and political activity, of course, of 501c3. It said defending court case on the issue of free speech. It said in political expression is Branch Ministries Incorporated versus Rossotti. It said in that case, the court upheld the constitutionality of the ban on political activity. The court rejected the plaintiff church's allegations that it was being selectively prosecuted because of its conservative views and that its First Amendment right to free speech was being infringed. It said the court wrote, the government has a compelling interest in maintaining the integrity of the tax system and is not subsidizing partisan political activity. And Section 501c3 is the least restrictive means of accomplishing that purpose. So according to this rule, they can tell you, souls to the polls. They can tell you that. They can also talk about certain legislation and everything here and there. But what Jamal Bryant was doing in that church house just now, he was violating the tax code. There's a lot of these churches that violate the tax code. When you have these it's like the Democrats have their people come in every year, every other year, whatever, right? Every 2 years. Oh, and there's always a Democrat. It's never like, hey, you got these two people running for office. They're in the community. Hey, he wanted to say a few words, right? No, it's always one political way. Now, he made a whole speech against Herschel Walker, meaning he's being extremely political with the Democrat Party. So he's definitely in violation. A lot of these churches are in violation of what they're doing, right? Like I said, Pookie and Ray Ray and the black preacher has been some of the most destructive people ever, because the black preacher say nothing about all the ills in the community. It has no program for black men, nothing. The only organization I ever seen that really had a decent program is the Nation of Islam. The only program. It definitely teach accountability. It teach respect. It teach women to do what women's supposed to do in the household. It teach the men to respect women. It teach men how to be, respectable, all kind of things. That the Nation of Islam, I can say, man, they have a good program. The churches, man, they don't do crap. But this the thing, Jamal Bryant and many of you other preachers here in America, your church house is going to be closing anyway, because the young people already see you're phony and you're fake. They know this. But they scared, ladies and gentlemen. They're scared. Oh, they're so scared of Herschel Walker. And I think it's so funny they're scared of Herschel Walker. Lord, they're acting like, listen, they lied to y'all about the Georgia election law. They lied. More black people have came out to vote this time, they said, than last time. They lied and said the Georgia election law is going to be Jim Crow 2.0. They lied. They are in the business of lying to you. They didn't read the bill. They didn't do anything because I thought that law was supposed to stop all black people from voting. Oh, Jim Crow, a poll tax coming back for black folk. Freaking liars. And I'm going to go deeper into that lie here in another podcast. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think about Jamal Bryant. Scary. I got emotionally triggered by a Herschel Walker commercial. Really? Made me wonder about you. But make sure, ladies and gentlemen, you subscribe to the podcast. It's greatly appreciated if you subscribe. Also, make sure you click the like button. It helps the videos get in the algorithm. Also, make sure you share it. Sharing it, let your friends and family know. We got just a few days before the midterms, and they are getting nervous. You're going to see a lot of them, doing what they got to do because they're nervous. Now, if early voting, it should be going on right now. If those of you who want to early vote, I suggest go vote, in early voting. That way you avoid those crowds. Some of you saying, I'm not doing nothing. Well, hey, this doesn't apply to you. But those of you who say, you know what, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do a protest vote so I can stick it to the Democrats. Well, then if you those kind of people that want to do that, then early voting is the time you should go do that, especially in Georgia. I'm depending on you brothers and sisters in Georgia to bring it home for Herschel Walker. Stacey Abrams ain't going to win, so that's why I'm going to discuss that. But bring it on home for Herschel Walker. Just not because we thinking Herschel Walker is going to be some sort of savior. No, we already know about that. But the fact is, the Democrats are so worried, they're so triggered. We got to make sure Herschel Walker get in there. I'm sorry, we just got to do it. We got to do it. I'm depending on you, brothers and sisters in Georgia, to do that. I'm depending on you. Because like I said, and I don't care, oh my God, Phil, you just, you're cooning. If supporting the Democrats is like supposed to keep it real, well then I'm not keeping it real then, because you know what? The Democrats have hurt my people. They have mass incarcerated my people. They have, when black people get out of prison, they can't even get a place to stay because of Democrats. Like, it's so many things that hurt black people because of the Democrat Party. But you got to keep it, but you keeping it real if you support the Democrats, right? Like I say, just some of these people are just so, and I guess I'm going to have to do that because, some people just don't have history of anything the Democrats have done to black people and how they have hurt us, how they put in a crime bill when black folks was on crack, but they didn't put in no crime bill when these white folks is on opioids. No crime bill for them, huh? Oh, it's a medical condition for them. But for us, anybody that just even was in the house, everybody going to jail. I remember the crack epidemic and what 12 was doing in black neighborhoods. I remember it. It was wrong. Some of them people are still locked up for some of that. How they set up there and put more time on crack than even powder cocaine. And powder cocaine is what makes the crack. Just because black folks had it. Man, like I said, I don't want to hear no talk about no freaking Democrats. I'm telling y'all right now, my next book I'm about to work on is about the betrayal of black people, by that party. And I'm going to take my time talking about every policy they put in to hurt black people. And by the time you finish reading that book, if you still convinced at that point to go vote Democrat, then you just stuck on stupid.